Hello, I'm Dr. X. Today, we're examining a headline that's been circulating widely: eating chicken 4 times a week could double risk of cancer death, study finds. This claim stems from a 2025 study published in the journal Nutrients, based on data from nearly 5,000 middle-aged adults in southern Italy followed for about 19 years. The researchers reported that consuming more than 300 grams of poultry per week, roughly equivalent to 3 to 4 standard servings, about 3 to 4 ounces each, was associated with a 27% higher overall mortality risk compared to eating less than 100 grams per week. For gastrointestinal cancer specifically, colon, stomach, liver, pancreas, esophagus, rectum, the risk appeared even higher in some analyses, up to more than double for men in certain intake categories. Headlines like this grab attention, but as always with observational nutrition studies, we need to dig deeper. Is chicken suddenly dangerous? Does 4 times a week really double your cancer death risk? Let's unpack the findings critically and put them in context in this video. We'll start with simple logic and relatable examples, move into physiological mechanisms and behavioral patterns, and finish with the scientific details, limitations, and practical advice. First, simple logic and everyday examples. Think of this like any observational diet study. People who eat a lot of one food often have other habits or backgrounds that influence outcomes. In this Italian cohort, those eating more poultry, over 300 grams per week, had higher all-cause death risk, 27% increase, and seemed to show elevated gastrointestinal cancer mortality, up to 127 to 161% higher in some subgroups, especially men. 4 times a week could roughly hit or exceed 300 grams if portions are generous, e.g., a chicken breast is often 150 to 200 grams alone. But here's the key logic check. Chicken is widely viewed as a healthier protein than red or processed meats because it's lower in saturated fat and heme iron, which can promote gut inflammation and cancer in excess. Yet this study suggests higher poultry intake correlated with worse outcomes, particularly for gastrointestinal cancers. Why might that be? Possible explanations include cooking methods. Grilling or charbroiling creates heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, known carcinogens, portion sizes creeping up over time, or confounding factors like overall diet quality, alcohol, smoking, physical activity, or socioeconomic status that weren't fully adjusted for. Real-world example: someone switches from red meat to chicken for health reasons, eats it 4 times a week, grilled or fried. Adds sides like fries or soda, and skips veggies. The chicken itself may not be the villain, the overall pattern might be. The study didn't strongly distinguish cooking style or processed versus unprocessed poultry, which matters. Many prior large reviews, World Cancer Research Fund, American Institute for Cancer Research, find no convincing link between poultry and increased cancer risk. In fact, some data suggest it's neutral or mildly protective compared to red meat. So the headline, double risk, grabs eyes, but it's an association from one regional cohort, not proof that chicken 4 times a week is killing people. It's a signal worth exploring, but not a reason to panic or ban chicken. Now, let's deepen with physiology and behavior. Physiologically, excessive meat intake, even lean poultry, can influence cancer pathways if cooking produces carcinogens or if the diet displaces protective foods. High animal protein loads may increase IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor, which promotes cell growth, including potentially cancerous cells. In the gut, excess protein fermentation or heme-like compounds, though lower in poultry, can create inflammatory byproducts. But poultry is generally lower risk than red meat for colorectal cancer because it has less heme iron and fewer N-nitroso compounds. Behaviorally, people eating lots of chicken might be following high-protein trends. Grilling frequently, using marinades with sugar or salt, or pairing with low-fiber sides. That pattern raises oxidative stress and gut inflammation over time. In contrast, balanced eaters who include chicken alongside lots of fiber-rich plants, healthy fats, and variety tend to have lower risks. Real example: patients who eat chicken breast 4 times a week baked or poached with veggies and whole grains often show better biomarkers than those frying it daily with processed sides. The study's higher risk group may reflect broader dietary or lifestyle patterns, not chicken alone. Finally, the scientific details and critical view. A 2025 paper in Nutrients followed nearly 5,000 Italian adults for about 19 years. Researchers looked at poultry intake and long-term health outcomes using advanced statistical models. They found that eating more than 300 grams of poultry per week was linked to a 27% higher risk of dying from any cause, though that result was borderline significant. More strikingly, the same intake was tied to more than double the risk of dying from gastrointestinal cancers compared to eating less than 100 grams per week. The risk was even higher in men, with some analyses showing a 2.6-fold increase. Even moderate intake, 100 to 200 grams per week, was associated with about a 65% higher risk of gastrointestinal cancer death in certain comparisons. The strengths of this study were its long follow-up period and the use of competing risk models, which account for other possible causes of death. The study had some clear strengths. It followed people for nearly 2 decades, which gives a strong long-term picture. And it used a competing risk analysis, meaning the researchers accounted for other possible causes of death when looking at outcomes. But there are also important limitations. It was observational, so it shows associations, not proof of cause and effect. Diet was self-reported, which can introduce recall bias. The participants were all from southern Italy, where food habits, cooking styles, and genetics may differ from other populations. The number of gastrointestinal cancer deaths was relatively small, about 108 cases, so the precision of subgroup results is limited. And the study didn't adjust in detail for cooking methods, processed poultry, or lifestyle factors like full physical activity, alcohol, and tobacco use. The authors themselves emphasize that these findings are preliminary and need to be replicated in other populations before drawing firm conclusions. Critically, this contradicts broader evidence. Meta-analyses and the World Cancer Research Fund and American Institute for Cancer Research reports classify poultry as having no substantial link to increased cancer risk, unlike red or processed meat. Some studies even show inverse or neutral associations. The National Chicken Council and others have refuted strong claims, highlighting inconsistencies and methodological issues, small event numbers, potential residual confounding. In practice, moderate poultry, e.g., 2 to 4 servings per week, around 200 to 400 grams, remains a lean protein source in guidelines, USDA, Mediterranean diet. Focus on variety, fish, beans, eggs, nuts, plants, for cancer prevention. Grill less, bake or steam more, pair with fiber or antioxidant-rich foods. Bottom line. This study raises a question about very high poultry intake and gastrointestinal cancer mortality, especially in certain populations, but it's not definitive proof that chicken 4 times a week doubles cancer death risk. It's one piece of a complex puzzle. Keep portions reasonable, cook healthily, balance your plate, and don't fear chicken as a staple. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. X. If you're worried about your diet or cancer risk, talk to a doctor or dietitian for personalized advice. Drop questions in the comments. Stay informed, eat balanced, and I'll see you next time.